seated, everyone. Defendant, attorney, and jury are all with us. We'll proceed with direct examination. Ms. Cochran, I will just remind you that you may have.
Yes, sir.
All right, I think we're about ready to turn to October 14th, 2014. Let's talk about that. Chris came to your house that day, correct?
Correct.
How was it that he came over? I mean, what told him to come over there?
We had set up that we were going to get together on the 14th instead of the 13th, since I had told him I was sick on the 13th. I had talked to him. First, I think I texted him. I used Jason's phone since I told him my phone was broken, so Jason left me his phone. I think I texted him first, and then he called me. He asked for directions again to my house. I gave him the directions to my house. He came over anywhere from like 5:20 to 6 o'clock that night.
Okay, let's pull that apart a little bit here. You sent a text using Jason's phone.
Correct.
And you said Jason had left his phone. Where was Jason? Where did you think him to be?
He was going with the guys to the spa. The guys would go to the spa together at George Young's.
Okay. So you say spa, you mean George Young's, correct?
Yeah.
Spa, I think something totally different, but okay.
Yeah, it's like they go for the sauna and the hot tub there.
I see. So you were supposed to get together the 13th, but you decided to make it the 14th because you were sick on the 13th. Did I hear that right?
I wasn't sick. I told him I was sick.
I see. You lied about it.
I lied.
Okay. And you had to give him directions to your home, correct?
Correct.
Now, we've heard different versions of this, but had he been to your home prior to this?
He'd never been inside my home. He had taken me home from work one time when Jason was out of town and he had the truck.
I think so this was the first time you had intentions of him being in your home.
Correct.
Now you heard Detective Ogden yesterday say, hey, Chris was in the military, he was an outdoorsman, but I had a good sense of direction. Why would he need directions to your home?
Right, he also did survival training too. When I was with him, when we left for work, when he took me home, I had given him directions. He did ask me for directions and I gave him over the phone.
Well, he brought you home, presumably you're sitting right next to him, that'd be fair to say?
Correct.
So you could say turn left here, turn right there, et cetera, et cetera.
But it's correct, but it's not far from where his apartment is.
I see. So, it's your contention this is the first time that he had ever been in your home, correct?
Correct.
And any time you've said anything to the contrary, is that truthful?
No.
And you lied.
I lied.
And we'll get more into that down the road here. So you used Jason's phone. I think you said you used a phone call to give him these directions. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then what happened after you talked to Chris and gave him directions?
He'd come over. I want to say the call and text were maybe between 4:30 and 5:30, somewhere around there. He had eventually got to the house. I had told him to park in the back. That's where we had went in. That's where there's an actual parking spot. In the front of the house, you can park, but there's not a real parking spot where the location is.
Okay. While you were waiting for him, what were you doing?
During the day, I had cooked. I had cleaned the house, just did stuff around the house, fixed it up. I took a shower, and then I was waiting for him.
Again, what was your impression as to where Jason was?
I watched Jason leave. He was going with, there's 4 guys that usually go to George Young's for the hot tub and sauna. I had seen him leave. So I had finished, like I said, I had lasagna in the oven. That was pretty much done. All I had to do is turn it back on.
Now, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. We heard yesterday Detective Ogden talk about you had some kind of plan or some scheme that you and Jason cooked up to lure Chris over to your home. You remember hearing about that yesterday?
Yes, I heard it.
Is that true?
No.
Okay.
It was something I had said, but there was never a plan.
Well, why'd you say that then?
It was a lie. I felt guilty.
Why guilty? Why'd you feel guilty?
Because if Chris would have never met me, if he would have never been in a relationship with me, he'd be here.
Okay. So again, there was no plan going into this to have Chris come over to meet his demise.
Right.
Jason was gone.
Right. I seen him leave.
So Chris pulls up to the house. What happens when he pulls up?
He pulls up in the back. Like I said, that's the parking spots there at the house. I didn't hear it or anything like that. I guess he went to the front door, so I heard the dogs carrying on. I have 2 big dogs. I went to the front door and I told him to go to the back door, which originally I think I told him that on the phone.
Okay, well, why did you want to go to the back door?
Why?
Yes.
Because I had 2 full-size dogs. One that was older, she was Chow and Shepherd. She, in her older years, she was not as aggressive as she was. But my other dog, Dan, she was 100 pounds and she was sketchy. She was a loving dog, but she was aggressive too. She bit at people.
How'd she do with people that she had never met prior to this?
She went either way. She very weary. It was like she had been abused, and I had her since she was 8 weeks old. She always had that sketchiness to her.
Okay. Now, again, jumping ahead a little bit, when law enforcement came to the house, I think we heard on the, I don't know if we listened to that interview or not, but at some point they knew how to corral the dogs. Do you remember having to do that when law enforcement was at the house? You had to kind of
Oh yeah.
make sure they were.
Couldn't have them bite anybody, especially somebody they didn't know. Bam had been known to bite at people and bite people.
So is that why you asked Chris to go to the back door?
Yeah, I had Pebbles in the front, and then I had Bam in the next room. That we had a little mud room, so you could close that door, and then I had a doggy gate for the other one.
Okay.
They didn't do well together. Pebbles was 13 at the time. She could hold her own, but Bam was 100 pounds, and her playing was a little more rough than anything.
No, I think we heard it. I don't know if it actually heard part of it, but it certainly implied that the reason you told Chris to go to the back door was you knew Jason was there waiting for him.
I didn't. That's correct. I didn't know Jason was there though. I had watched him leave. Didn't even hear him come in.
So again, if you made a statement to that effect, that's why you want to go to the back door, is that true?
No, it's because I felt guilty because he's not here.
Again, you feel some measure of responsibility for that guilt.
I do.
For her not being here.
I do.
Again, not because you did anything, but why?
Because if he would not have been in a relationship with me, he'd be here today.
Okay, so Chris goes around to the back door. What happens then?
I met him at the back door. He had come in, we talked. I hadn't seen him in a while for us. We, talked for a minute, we kissed, and we were intimate at the back door,
Okay.
by the back door. There's a little landing. You got the pantry here, there's a landing, and then there's basement stairs.
And I know this is probably embarrassing to talk about and a little rough to talk about, but what kind of sex acts were you performing?
I performed oral sex, and then we had sex there.
Okay. Now, we saw a rendering yesterday of the position that you were in. Is that completely accurate, that rendering?
No.
Tell us what was wrong.
The only difference is there was a bench where you put your shoes on up against that wall where it had us facing. That wasn't there in the rendering. I think it was there on one of the trips we went back to the house though to talk about what happened. As well, I was facing the other way, but Chris was facing the way he is in the rendering.
Okay, so you were face to face with him. Is that what
At that time, yeah.
Okay. Well, then what happened after you're having sex with him? What happens then?
I don't know if I heard it. I know now that I had to, but I didn't hear it. There was a gunshot, and we fell down the stairs.
No. Was he still having sex with you at that time? That you fell on the stairs together?
We'd be in the middle of it.
Okay. And I think you told different versions of that as well in the past. Do you remember telling different versions of that?
Correct.
Why did you tell different versions?
As far as the one up in the bedroom, when I went with the detective to the house that day, even as he said in his statement, I was under the influence. I don't even remember taking him upstairs to talk about the bedroom or anything like that.
But well, again, as well as the sex been completed or not completed, I think you might have told different versions of that as well. Do you recall telling different versions of that?
Correct, yes.
Again, why would you have told different versions?
Not only was it a lie, but I was a little unsure at the time as well too. The time of the actual gunshot, I think is a little cloudy to this day.
Okay. So, all of a sudden he's tumbling down the stairs and you're going with him. What happens then?
I come to on the bottom of the steps.
Okay. What do you see?
Jason's there and Chris is there.
What's Jason doing? What's Jason doing?
He's standing with the 22.
And do you have a look on his face, or what do you say
Yeah.
anything?
He had a howl look on his face.
What?
To me, it's a howl look. The best way to describe it is howl. I mean, there was no emotion, there was no anger, sadness, anything. It was just a howl.
Did he say anything to you?
Not that I remember clearly. Not at that point.
Okay, now, what if anything was Chris doing?
Chris was dead.
Chris was dead. How do you know he was dead? I know it's a class foolish question, but did you check for a pulse? Did you try to CPR or anything like that, or?
I eventually checked for a pulse, but with the blood that was down at the bottom of the steps, he wasn't moving.
Fairly obvious then to you that he was probably no longer with us. Okay. After this happens, what happens next?
Jason ended up dragging him to the middle of the floor.
And what are you doing while he's dragging Chris to the middle of the floor?
I'm just there.
You told Detective Ogden that I think you told us as well that you lost consciousness, or you said you had to come to. Did you black out for a moment or something like that?
Right, when I was under him from falling down the stairs, yes.
Okay. And you still think you told Detective Ogden that you hit your head or you had a gash in your head?
I had my hand, yes.
Did
I
you-
was bleeding.
Show us on your head right now. Point out to us with it.
It'd be on this top back portion right here. There was no stitches.
There's no stitches?
No.
So you lied about that?
I didn't.
Why'd you lie about that?
I don't know.
So again, you got a cut in your head, but nothing that required medical attention.
Right.
Okay. So after Jason drags Chris to the middle of the room, what happens next?
He gives me 4 steps.
Who does?
Jason.
And what does he tell you to do with these 4 steps?
He wants me to pull the bullet out of his head.
Chris's head. Just to be clear.
Yes.
And what does he say? How does he say it to you? Does he just flat out say, here's some 4 steps, pull this bullet out of his head, or
He just told me to take the bullet out of his head.
do you use any graphic language or anything, or just behind fact like I just kind of said?
It was a vulgar, angry tone, but I don't know its exact words to it.
Okay. And
Take
what
the
did
bullet
you,
out of his head.
sorry, what did you do then?
I used the 4 steps to try. I put it in the hole, but I didn't take a bullet out.
Did you try to look for the bullet, or?
No. I didn't take the bullet out, nor was I going to. I did pretend like I took the bullet out though.
Okay. Did he ask to see the bullet? Did Jason ask to see the bullet?
No.
So he kind of went through the motions.
Right.
What happens next?
He's, like I said, he's on the floor. At this point, this is where he wants dinner.
And Jason wants dinner. And what does he tell you?
Go make him dinner.
Just like that.
Not as friendly.
Okay. And did he say what he wanted for dinner?
He had me make me hamburger and fries.
Specified you want hamburger and fries.
Yes.
And what's your reaction to this?
I didn't really really have one. I was crying, I was hysterical, but at the same time, I guess I couldn't believe it was actually going on.
Okay, so what do you do?
I attempt to make hamburger fries.
And while you're doing that, where is Jason?
He's in the basement.
Now, when he sends you upstairs, why didn't you just run out the back door and start screaming for help?
Because I didn't think there was help at this point.
What do you mean by that?
I didn't think I'd have a chance to get help. He'd find a way to either kill me or hurt me or worse.
Why, did he make any kind of threat to you down in the basement that he was going to do something like that?
Not only did he threaten me, but I expected him to kill me.
What gave you that expectation?
Because he said he was going to shoot me.
No, you got a .22 pistol up in that house.
Yes, I did.
How come you didn't go upstairs and while you're frying up some burgers, go grab that gun and go back downstairs and run?
I heard that yesterday. Yeah, I've shot a gun. I've shot guns many times. That the revolver is mine. I guess it's easier for somebody else to say to grab the gun and shoot him. But I've never shot anybody. And I guess unless you're in that position to, after seeing what I did, and somebody wants me to shoot them, it's not that easy.
The 22 didn't come to mind at the time?
No. But even if it was in my hands, I don't know if I would have been capable to shoot him or even do anything about it.
You get tissue there, right?
It's fine. But when I heard that yesterday, I thought about that. I mean, I was in the kitchen too. There's knives. I mean, in the basement, there's tools. I've been a contractor for years. I know my way around tools, and unless you're in that point, unless you're in that spot, it's a lot different to do these things than to say it.
Okay, so you're upstairs making burgers and fries. What happens next?
I had gotten sick a couple times. To see something like that, I mean, that's something else. I mean, in college, even in high school, I mean, you see organs, I mean, you see autopsies, you see different things, and seeing it on a video is a lot different, or even just seeing organs and stuff. I mean, it's different than on TV. I mean, I had gotten sick, and I had gotten sick when I was cooking dinner. At some point, he had come upstairs, he threw the pan off the wall. He was upset still.
Threw the pan off the wall, did it have burgers and cooking materials in it?
Yes.
Also, you got sick in there, is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Maybe a mess, I would assume.
Right, correct.
What happens next?
At this point, originally I had asked him about the lasagna too. He didn't want it because I made it for Chris. He ended up eating the lasagna because the burgers and fries were messed up.
All right, well then what happens?
To back up, he ate the lasagna like, I don't know, that's bothered me for a while. He ate the lasagna like nothing had just happened. Calm for a minute. After that, he has me, I guess he had the keys for the car. He had said he was going to drive the car.
When you say the car, I mean Chris's car.
Chris's car, the Genesis.
Okay. What did he say he was going to do with the car?
First he said he was going to put a brick or put a weight on the pedal and drive it into the casting pit.
And did you talk to him about that idea?
I did. I had said that, in my head that it's never going to be found. So I made the suggestion, why don't you just park it somewhere?
Now again, you have this running through your mind at the time, I guess, have to ask, what did you think to suggest that to him, if you know?
After everything has happened, you know, in my mind, I've shut down. I've stopped the, you know, because you have fight or flight when something bad happens, and I felt like I had shut down, but I was still able to, you know, I still, in my head I was like, well, it's got to be done. Somebody's got to find out at least what happened.
No, you suggested that we parked elsewhere then. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
What did you suggest?
A parking lot.
Parking lot? And when you say a parking lot, do you mean?
That ended up being the parking right. Up here it's different.
Okay. Well, let's get that all the way. Have you ever, before moving here, have you ever heard the term parking ride?
No, it's, I guess there's different, people call things different in different places. To me, it's, I guess the closest thing would be like a, you know, parking lot, carpooling, whatever. But it wasn't, I've never heard of a parking ride.
Why did you suggest that location?
Just somewhere to park the car, plus it was high traffic.
Right on the highway there, isn't it?
Right to.
And why were you suggesting such a high-profile location?
So somebody find the car.
What happens next?
He has me follow him. I'm in the truck, he's in the car.
So he's driving the car.
He drove the car. In the video yesterday, it was said that I had drove the car, and in the video it sounded like I had said that I'd never driven that car. I had no reason to drive the car. He drove the car and had me follow him.
And you followed in your family truck.
Correct.
Why would you suggest otherwise that perhaps you drove the car?
Did I answer?
You just brought up that it sounded like in the video yesterday that you suggested that you drove Chris's car. Why would you have made that suggestion?
I don't even think it was a suggestion I made. I think it was just a slip. I said the wrong thing. I had made lies and I told different versions of this, but never that I drove the car.
Have you been in the car at any point?
Yes.
How many times have you known?
A couple times in the car. Usually when me and Chris went places, it would be in my truck.
Now there was a talk, I believe it was yesterday or perhaps the day before, in the video that we watched, that you had kind of counseled Jason on, you know, wear this hat, wear these gloves, make sure you don't touch anything. Did you ever do any kind of counseling like that?
No. But I did say that.
Why'd you say that?
It all goes back to feeling bad for Chris not being here.
Now, he's driving his car, he's driving towards the carpool lot. You're following him. Why don't you stop, turn off, and drive right to the police station, 9 River, and pound on the door and say, hey, help me.
Great. You know what? I've thought of that, and it's not that easy. To see what had happened, to hear and see the things I had over at least the last 4 or 5 years prior to this, it's not that easy. I was away from Jason numerous times throughout this, after this has happened, and never did I go and get help. And why? Because I had seen what he was capable of. I've seen what he did, how many times he had threatened me, how many times we had a gun to my head. It's not just you can go get help. He had done a lot of things that I knew he would find a way to harm me and to kill me.
So, again, you said you thought about that. You think about that at the time that you were in this truck, or is that something upon reflection?
That's not something you think about at that point.
What was going through your mind at the time, if you recall?
Survive.
So, you weren't willing to, or I guess you hadn't thought about veering off on your own, but you thought about making sure that the car was parked in a high-profile place. I mean, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Can you explain?
Right. You know what, Chris was gone. There was nothing I could do to bring him back, but at least he could be found. I didn't know what was in store for me at this point.
You weren't doing all this to cook up some defense or anything like that, were you?
No.
Yeah, what was going through your mind?
Honestly, just survive.
Alright, so you follow Jason driving just as far as the parking ride or carpool lot. What happens then?
He was out of the car. I don't know if he locked it, you know, what he did at that point, but he had gotten into the truck and told me to drive home.
Did you, to your knowledge, did either you or Jason go through Chris's trunk of the car at all or anything like that?
I think I don't know for sure, but I think I remember him either looking at, like opening the trunk, either at the house or at the parking lot, but I don't know. I don't think anybody looked in the car or anything like that though. And I'm not even certain if anybody looked in the trunk.
Okay. So he tells you to drive home. What happens then?
I drove home. He told me to back the truck up in the driveway. So I did.
Then what happens?
We go inside and he has me sit on this 5-gallon bucket.
And where is this bucket in the house? Is it upstairs, downstairs?
In the basement.
In the basement. What happens then?
He gets the sawzall.
And the sawzall, tell me about it. Is it electric? Is it a battery electric? Where was it?
It's a corded sawzall. It was on the shelf in the basement. A lot of tools were kept in the basement.
So you grab the sawzall.
Right.
What happens then?
He uses the sawzall to cut it.
Now when you grab the sawzall, did it have a cord attached to it?
It has maybe a 10-foot cord on it. I don't know how long it was. He grabbed an extension cord with it.
I think you had made some indication that said you had to go get the cord for him.
Right. I don't know if it was Ogden or Chief Rizzo, if I told them I got the cord off the shelf down in the basement.
I think it might have been Chief Rizzo or perhaps even both, but why did you make that statement?
Again, that goes back to feeling guilty for not being.
Okay. So you're sitting on this bucket, he has a sawzall, and he starts cutting Chris up.
Yeah.
And is he saying anything while this is going on?
He said a couple things.
What would he say?
He said one of the main things that he said is when he cut him up, he had one of his hands. So the last time he'd be waving to me. He was waving goodbye to me.
So he took Chris's hand and he waved at you?
Right.
What'd you do then?
Sat there.
No, this gun, if you know, where was this rifle while this is all going on?
The rifle he had already put to the side. We have numerous guns at the house.
Including that 22.
The revolver.
Revolver, yeah, should be more specific.
Right.
Did you know where that revolver was at the time?
At that time, it'd be under the entertainment stand.
Did you know for a fact it was there at that particular junction?
I don't know for a fact it was there. I assume it was.
Jason had that on his person at that time.
No, he had the 380 on him.
He had a different gun on it.
Correct.
Okay. You say, I don't know guns, so tell me about this 380. Is this another rifle? Is this a...
No, it's a small gun.
So if you have a 380 on his person while it's cutting Chris up?
He had it hooked on him.
I see. All right. What happens after he cuts Chris up?
He puts them in bags.
What kind of bags?
Garbage. Black garbage bags.
Just a typical garbage bag that you pick up at any store?
Yeah, I had some from moving. We moved in. They were on the shelves, but I always had garbage bags because I was always cleaning or straightening up or something.
Okay. How many bags were used?
I've been asked that a lot of times. From the start, I thought 10 to 14. I thought even 15. I don't know exactly how many bags he used. Not a clue.
Did you sit there and count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that did you?
No, but in my head, when we went back and and trying to help make all this make sense and, find out if I could even remember. I knew it was less bags than that, but I still don't know how many bags.
So if you told an officer or someone a number, that was just a guess at the time.
It was a guess, yeah.
What happens after he gets his bags, he puts Chris in his bags? What happens next?
Well, to back up, we do in the pool business, we use a lot of chemicals, liquid chlorine, uric acid, which is also hydrochloric acid. Before he had put him in bags, he had said that to get some acid so he can salt them down.
Well, did you have any acid at the house?
I believe we had some, but there wasn't a lot there.
What does not a lot mean? Does that mean,
There might have been a couple gallons there.
but Jason wanted to use acid to dissolve the body.
He didn't want him to ever be found or identified.
And did he use acid to dissolve the body?
No,
Why not?
because I convinced him that the fumes would kill us.
Convinced him that the fumes would kill you, correct?
Plus, there wasn't enough acid in the house.
So this was, you were able to, again, I think you used the word convince, correct?
Yes.
And so there was some discussion and debate about this, correct?
Right.
And you appealed to him and said, this might hurt us. Would be fair to say?
I said it'd kill us.
Kill it, yeah, kill it, good. What happens after he has discussion with the acid?
That's when he put them in the bags.
Okay. Then what happened to his bags?
They were taken upstairs. He carries them up to the back door.
Do you help carry his bags up?
No.
You were asked this by Detective Ogden. I guess a problem with it as well. Why is it that you're not helping carry his bags up?
I'm not going to. I have no intentions. He should be dead right there. Chris was somebody I loved, had feelings for. After seeing what he did to him, and I've never seen anything like this in my life, to see him do that and to put him in garbage bags like garbage. He had wanted me to help him carry him up the steps, and he ended up taking him up the steps.
I get that. I get why you didn't want to, but how did you get him to, when you're scared of him, he has a gun on him, how do you get him to relent and say, okay, I'll take it as myself? How's that happen?
He's seen I wasn't going to move him.
And I guess why is this the point where you kind of draw the line in the sand?
Why do I make a stand there?
Yeah.
Because I don't care if he shoots me right there. I wasn't carrying those bags.
Why was that the point that you didn't care anymore about shooting?
Because I couldn't prevent him from being killed. But I wasn't going to be a part of him being treated like garbage.
So he carries his bags up. What happens next?
Like I said, I don't know how many bags. He took them by the back door. And then he took them out to, there's like a wood concrete patio, like checkerboard. He set them on one of those out there.
So he takes them out and you have 10, 15, maybe 20 bags just sitting out in the open?
Yeah.
What happens then?
He puts them in the back of the truck.
And then do you help with that?
No.
Yeah. The truck is already backed up.
The truck was backed up.
Again, what are you doing while he's loading up this truck?
Standing there.
And again, you said you didn't care if you got shot or not at this point. How come you're not screaming for help?
I couldn't.
Why not?
Because I didn't believe I could. I didn't think it made a difference. What was screaming at that point going to help? He just killed somebody, had a gun. Why not shoot me to shut me up?
What happens next?
He has me drive him down Route 2.
When you say Route 2, you mean US 2 here?
Yeah, US 2.
That'd be another Indiana, Michigan thing. I don't know. A lot of people used to move routes too much up here. But US 2, man. So heading from Iron River towards Crystal Falls, is that correct?
Correct. And east.
Who's driving the vehicle?
I am.
And does he still have his gun with him?
Yes.
Okay, what's going on in this truck then?
He tells me to go to, the first place was, I think, Lake Emily Road. I think that's the name of it. I go down Lake Emily Road. I don't know if he had thought about this beforehand or not, but he had me go down this road. I don't think I'd been down this one, but it wasn't like a heavy populated road. I didn't see any cars or anything like that. I was concerned.
Okay, why were you concerned?
I asked him if there wouldn't be a better place for us to go to drive.
Why were you suggesting that, a better place?
I wanted somewhere that was more high traffic.
And you didn't think Lake Emily Road was high traffic enough?
I didn't think so, but I wasn't for certain on that.
And what did you base that off?
Just, I've driven a lot around the area. I've done a lot of exploring, a lot of fishing.
Okay, so where's the next place that you considered here?
He has me turn down Oss Road. Oss Road. Same thing there. He has me go all the way down and all the way back. This is another place that there's no traffic, no cars, no nothing.
And you said there's no cars, no traffic. It's based on your observations at the time.
Correct.
Yeah, much as a detective often, you're not an expert at the traffic patterns around here. That'd be fair to say.
Correct.
Okay, continue please. What's next?
Next, turn down Pantoga Trail, which is also County Road 639.
Okay, what happens?
This I know is a higher traffic area
How do you know that?
because I've been down that road before. Like I said, I've been down a lot of the roads, but there were also vehicles that were traveling on that road
That night?
that night.
How many vehicles did you see?
2.
And what time of night is this at?
I've tried to think about it and narrow down a time. I want to say between 9 and 11. I don't know for sure.
So, what happens next?
I'm going down the road. I figured this was a good place because it was higher traffic. He wants to see the end of the road to see what else is down there. He didn't travel much in the area. He didn't drive much. So I went all the way down to that and came back.
I believe if you take that road all the way, then I've been on time too. Goes to like a park, is that correct?
Yeah, it was night, but there was like cabins or little houses at the end.
Sure. Okay, so you go down to the end of the road, what happens next?
Come back, heading like north down the road. There's an area where there's another road that intercepts it, not 2, but I've been told what the name is. I don't know what the name is though.
Okay.
Right after that, I pull over for him.
And who decided where you're going to pull over?
I pulled over because I told him that this was a pretty quiet road.
So you're the one that picked where you got out of the vehicle.
Right.
And again, why did you stop that particular spot?
Just stopped. There was no reason.
Just a random spot.
Correct.
But you wanted that on that road for what reason again?
Because it was a busier road. As far as I knew, it was a busier road compared to the other 2 options.
Now, you told some stories about a trinket bag that you had left near that spot a couple days, a couple weeks prior. What's up with that?
That's not true.
What's not true about that?
That's a lie. There is no trinket bag.
No, period.
I have no trinket bag.
You don't have a trinket bag?
No.
And you didn't leave a trinket bag at near the spot where Mr. Regan's skull was found?
Correct.
How about throwing, I think it was one of the lakes, I forget which one it was, that the trinket bag was allegedly thrown into. Did you throw a trinket bag into any lake?
No.
Does any trinket bag exist, period?
No.
For you or for Jason?
No.
So what was up with that?
Just a lie.
Huh? Why?
Just to make it seem like I was a horrible person and I was capable of hurting somebody and killing somebody.
Why would you want people to think that of you?
Because I felt guilty for Chris not being here and not being able to prevent him from being killed.
Okay. So you've picked a spot to stop. What happens next?
He gets out and had me pull up the distance, I don't know, but maybe like 50 foot, 100 foot up, and had me pull off on the side of the road after he pulled bags out, and he took them in on the side of the road.
Okay. Why don't you just speed off and leave him there?
I didn't think I had a chance.
I mean, he's not going to chase you down. He's on foot. You're in a truck.
Correct. And I would probably go to the police station, and I'm sure I would have no choice.
Did the thought cross your mind that, hey, I'm out of here?
If he wanted to get to me, he would. I think the point was brought up yesterday that who's smart or who's not smart or whatever. You know, I may have some common sense and may not be an idiot, but Jason was very smart.
So what happens after you're seeing the brain for him?
What happened when?
You pull up the distance, you pull up down the road a little bit. What happens next?
He got back in the truck.
Then what'd you do?
He had me drive home.
Okay. What happens once you get home?
He wants me to clean up the mess.
And do you?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
He has me clean it up and gave me the bleach, the washer and dryer down there, so there's bleach and stuff on the shelves. He had me clean it. I had a toothbrush and a little hand brush that he gave me to clean up.
So you're there on your hands and knees with a toothbrush and some bleach, scrubbing away.
Correct.
Do you use anything else to help clean up?
Hot water.
Sandpaper or anything like that?
Oh, on the step, yes.
And where's Jason while all this is
Right there in the basement.
Still have that gun on his hip?
The gun wasn't on his hip, he had it in his hand.
In his hand?
Right.
Okay. And how long does this cleanup process go?
A long time. I don't know how long. It took a long time.
Has the sun come up yet where you're still cleaning, or?
No. Not at that point.
So at some point, you get done cleaning. How was it decided that it was cleaned up enough?
Well, it wasn't really decided at that point. I think he said that it was clean, but he had to clean the next day as well.
Now you've talked about, I think you told today that you've got some forensic classes or some forensic training. How much training do you have?
I'm not certified. I have not done anything other than taking classes in forensic science at that. I have no specialties, no degrees in it.
How many classes have you taken?
Maybe 2.
What would they cover in these classes?
Just basic forensics.
They tell you how fingerprints work?
Right. Well, and they had one of the classes they had showed you I don't know what was on the desk. I don't think I want to know, but they did the different alternative light sources on the desk to show you what's actually on the desk, but nothing significant.
There was no chapter of the book that says, hey, if you want to clean up law, this is the best way to do it. Right?
Not that we covered.
Okay, fair enough. So, it's the next day now. What's going on? What happens? I think it was the 15th of October now.
He has me go and get coffee and donuts.
Yeah. Jason has you leave the house to get coffee and donuts.
Yes.
Where'd you go?
I wanted to get coffee.
Where'd you go to do that?
I think it was a Holiday gas station.
You know, the police station's right next door to the Holiday. Why didn't you go over there?
Because I didn't think I could.
What do you mean by that?
I didn't think I had a chance. If I went there, he would find a way to get to me.
I mean, you're with law enforcement, you're with good people that presumably can protect you. How was he going to get to you?
I didn't believe that. I know he was very smart. He would have found a way to get to me.
You didn't believe that law enforcement would protect you?
No, never have.
Why is that?
I've seen all the interviews, I've been in all the interviews that I've watched, and I've been told numerous times that I'm safe with them. Jason's not in the room. I can tell them what he did. And again, that's the same thing as the gun. It's not that easy. It's not, unless, I mean, to see that, to know what he's capable of, to know that it's not that easy.
Okay. So you get the coffee, you get the donuts, what happens next?
No, I got the coffee. I didn't make it to get donuts. I went to Chris's apartment.
So you went to Chris's apartment, tell me about that.
I parked in the parking lot, I think at the IGA. Parked in the parking lot, went into the apartment, and I got my wedding ring.
Okay, so you parked in the parking lot. What time of day is this roughly at, if you can guess?
It's during the day, it's light out. I know this, but I'm gonna say like 12 to 3. It might have been earlier than that.
You know, we talked yesterday, there's talk that you have photographic memory. Is that true?
I remember almost everything.
You don't have, if I ask you what you did on, I don't know, June 1st of 1985, you have those people that can go back and tell me what you were doing that day.
No.
So, yeah, there might be some details and times of your recollections not great on some time since this, correct?
That and everything around that is, I guess, in any kind of trauma or any kind of thing like this, it's not that easy to remember things. There's some things you remember, but there's a lot of things you forget, and a lot of things that you forget to, try and keep some sanity.
Have memories been coming out? Maybe drops? You remember something will spark a memory here, spark a memory there, and you'll remember something better than you remembered the day before? Has that happened with this, or?
Yeah, around the gunshots.
So, you parked at, I think you said the IGA, I think it's the Jubilee that's there. We got behind the store, right? Were there people around?
I'm sure there were. I didn't talk to anybody or anything, I don't think.
So then you go into Chris's apartment building, correct?
Correct.
And you enter his apartment.
Correct.
How did you get into his apartment?
I used the keys
Keys?
that he had given me.
Now presumably he had his keys on his person when he was shot by Jason, correct?
Probably, yeah, it'd be with his car keys.
And any idea what happened with those keys? Car keys?
Well, he had a ring, all of them, with the fob, the key fob.
You didn't use the fob and the keys that Chris had on his person. You used the key that he'd given you.
Right, there was 2 sets of keys.
Okay. So you entered the apartment to get your wedding ring, correct?
Correct. It was on the nightstand next to the bed.
What was your wedding ring doing on the nightstand?
I left it there the last time I was there.
How long prior to this happening did it happen?
It had been several days. It had been before the weekend.
Jason didn't notice that you weren't wearing a ring?
No, I didn't wear it a lot, especially even when I did construction work. You can't wear that, especially with like the liners and different things you did deal with.
Why did you have your wedding ring on that particular night that you were at Chris's, if you remember?
Why was it off?
Why did you have it? I mean, why did you have it? You said you didn't wear it very often. Why were you wearing it?
Because I wasn't doing any kind of physical work. Wasn't doing any construction.
That's the next question. Why did you take it off?
I've always taken it off when we've had sex.
I see. So you took your wedding ring. Did you take anything else?
Yes,
What did you take?
my camera.
And you understand that it's one charged against you as you took this camera.
I understand.
And do you have anyone's permission to take this camera?
Did I what?
Have anyone's permission to take this camera?
No.
And why were you taking the camera?
Because it had pictures and videos that we had made, and I didn't think it was appropriate.
Pictures that, sexual pictures, correct?
Right, and sexual videos.
And again, what, were you trying to hide your relationship with Chris?
There wasn't really any hiding it. It was just, it wasn't the thing that other people needed to see. For both of us.
I see. So again, you took this camera, left the apartment. Did you leave the apartment then?
Yes.
Take anything else? Take any pills or anything like that? What happens next?
I went to Wildwood Lake real quick. I was upset at his apartment. I was sitting on the bed. I cried for a little bit.
I think we had Detective Ogden testify that you said you didn't cry yesterday.
Said that I didn't cry.
Did not, if I heard correctly.
Nobody was with me. I took a break to cry and try and figure out what I can do next.
So, okay, and what happens next?
I went to Wildwood Lake and I threw the camera into the water. I sat there and pondered and I was upset. I sat there and cried for a little while trying to figure out how to, get help, make this right.
Why would we like that's a spot you and Eric had gone? Is there some significance that you picked that spot?
There's no significance. I went there a lot without Eric as well, just to sit. It's actually a pretty peaceful place. You can go right up to the water there.
Just the lake that you went to?
Yeah, it wasn't like because I went there with Eric or anything, and there's no significance there.
I guess same with the carpool lots across the highway from the road to Wildwood Lake. Is that why you picked that spot, or is there trying to send us some little messages or something like that?
There's no significance. That's just somewhere to park, somewhere high traffic to park.
So,
Because there's mostly, businesses and homes that are on too.
so that I understand this correctly, you leave the house to get coffee and donuts. You've got time to pick up the coffee, go to Chris's apartment, go up to Wildwood Lake. Anywhere else you went?
No,
No, sounds like that might take a little bit of time to be doing all that.
correct.
Jason had sent you to do a pretty quick errand.
Right.
Was he happy that you were gone for a while?
No.
What happened?
But he wasn't irate. He wasn't really angry like I was.
Weren't you concerned that, hey, I've gone a long time, this is going to tick him off?
I was concerned, but when I seen his reaction, I was kind of more surprised than anything.
Okay. What happens after you get home?
He wants to go to Iron Mountain or somewhere out that way.
Okay. Why did you go that way? Why did you want to go that way?
He stopped at, there's a pot growing store to get stuff. I can't think of the name of the place, but you could buy stuff to grow pot. He needed stuff, and then he got pot while he was out there.
And again, he has a marijuana card, so it's
Correct.
perfectly legal to your knowledge.
That part of it was legal.
So you went to Iron Mountain.
Correct?
Did you go to the Walmart at that time?
No.
Did you all have a little Chinese?
No.
Little Peking? Why'd you say you did?
Because when I was asked originally, I didn't remember what was done that day.
So why'd you pick those spots?
Because that was common places when I went out that way.
How frequently would you run to the Walmart to get groceries?
How
How
often?
frequently, yeah.
Once every 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Not much around here. I was used to a Walmart or a big store being like a quarter mile away, not 45 miles.
Sure. So you stop at the store to get some supplies and perhaps some marijuana, so Jason stops there. What happens next?
We did go through one of the drive-through restaurants out that way.
Do you happen to remember which one?
I think it was Burger King. And then came back this way.
Okay. What happens next?
Pretty much stayed at home the rest of the 15th.
Okay, let's go into the next couple days here. Need a day-by-day breakdown of what we need to do, but I think Jason's phone seems to be taking quite a little road trip to Ashland, to Holton, to near Marinette and Omni area. What's up with all that, if you know?
Actually, he had went somewhere, I think it might have been the 16th. I don't know where he was going, but he was getting more pot. But I don't know if he was at those locations, so I
So
don't know.
he left you at home
For a couple hours, yeah.
for a couple hours. Well, it sounds like he's gone for quite a long time looking at the phone records.
Right. Yeah, I have no clue where he went on these journeys.
He's gone for a while. Yeah. Why don't you go walk downtown to the police station and you're pounding on that door.
Because I didn't have a choice.
Well, yeah, well, why not?
Because I believed I didn't have a choice. After what I had seen, I figured it was in my best interest to stay put.
So he's gone and you weren't any part of these. You didn't go to Ashland, Wisconsin with him.
No, I don't have reason to believe he would have a reason to go there for pot. Because it's not legal there.
What a reason to, well, apparently was there, saying like, oh, you're not disputing that, correct?
Correct. I don't know where he went, what for sure he went for, because I wasn't with him.
No, again, I don't recall, as we heard hundreds of hours of interviews. To your recollection, did you ever tell anyone that you went on any of these road trips with him?
I said I might have. I went for the next day.
Which day was that?
The 15th.
15th.
And then the 18th.
Okay, well, where was that trip on the 18th then?
Houghton.
So you went up to Houghton for that?
Right, but I don't think that was on the list of places that they had asked me about.
Okay. Well, why did you go, what was the reason for going to Houghton?
Why I went with?
Yeah, why was he going?
I think for pot again.
I mean, did you stop at a store up there, or?
No.
So you went to Houghton, turned around, came back without stopping anywhere?
He stopped to get pot.
He stopped, okay. That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. All right, so what happens? We're now past the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. What's going on in your life at this point?
Just going with the motions of the days.
Now, you're still communicating with Mr. Erickson at this point?
Once in a while. I was trying to keep in contact with him. And honestly, I was hoping that, I could reach out and have him help me. When we had stopped by my house that night, he was drunk, so I didn't want him to do anything because it wouldn't have done anybody any good. But deep down, after all this, I was hoping that I could reach out to him, ask for help. But I knew that it wouldn't be in his best interest or mine to ask for any help.
So you had some text communications with him, I think, well over a week ago. We went through all those, and at some point you're talking to him about you're helping a friend with a big problem. Do you remember talking to him about that?
Yes, the last times I talked to him was either October 24th or 25th.
And what was up with that? What were we talking about? Who was this friend? What was the problem?
There was no friend, there was no problem. It was just pretty much staying at home, but I couldn't really tell him what had happened. Nor did I think it was in our best interest to talk about it.
What did you think maybe? Hey, I could text this guy, maybe he'll come and get law enforcement. Did you think using him or someone else as a lifeline?
I was going to reach out to Eric for help, and I had pondered it, and that was the reason I kept in contact with him. Though we weren't meeting up like we were before, I had hoped and I had wanted to hopefully have him help me. I decided against it because I didn't think it was safe at least for him.
So we talked about this big problem with a friend. I think maybe he made some reference to you had a gay friend that was having some problems. That was a lie.
Part of it. I had a gay friend that, had some issues, but not that day.
Okay. So that issue about helping a friend with a problem, he said there was no particular problem at that time.
Correct. So that was a lie.
Other than everything that's going on with you and Jason.
Correct.
All right, well, let's turn your attention now to law enforcement starts knocking on your door. Let's go to October 28th, 2014. Tell me what was going on in the home at that time, at your house.
At that night.
That night, yes.
It was, I want to say it was like 8:39, maybe a little later. Not many people came by the house that night. Heard the knock on the door, the dogs went nuts. He said to stay put, he was going down to get the door. We were upstairs originally. He just smoked a joint. Went down to get the door. I didn't hear any of the conversation prior to that, but I had come down eventually after I looked out because I seen a flashlight shining around the door. I seen him talking to somebody at the door when I went to the door, and that's when they'd asked me either who was I or was I Calvin.
Okay. And first, Jason had denied that You were home. Did you hear, did you know he did that, or?
I think they told me that at that time.
Okay, and, you know, you have law enforcement there, talked to, I believe, Ms. Barrett, told her you knew nothing about this, correct? And what happened to Chris, correct?
Correct.
It was a lie, obviously, but what happened?
That was a lie.
Why did you lie?
Jason was right there, and this was the first instance we had with any police officers after this had happened.
Well, you got two law enforcement officers right there, talking across your mind saying, hell, yeah, I know what happened. You did it. Take him. Help me.
And there's a gun at the door, so
There's a gun at the door. Tell me about that.
anytime we answer the door, usually there'd be a gun at the door.
Who had the gun?
Jason had the gun.
Jason had a gun. I mean, do you have a rifle sitting there, or do you have a gun?
No, it wasn't a rifle, it was a handgun.
You had a handgun with him?
Right. We didn't expect company late at night, and I don't know if he had expected it to be law enforcement or not, but
Sure.
it was. Plus, I think he might have been more paranoid after smoking.
Okay. So again, you didn't say, yeah, help me. You didn't do that at this point, correct?
Correct.
Now, you also had Ms. Barrett ask you, I don't know if she asked you explicitly, but I think she was at least beating around the bush that, you know, perhaps that Jason had hurt me in the past, or Jason was abusive. Do you remember talking, at least her implying that?
I don't actually remember that conversation as well, but I remember seeing the interview or like the video or hearing about it. I don't know if there's actual footage for it. I didn't think it was anything that was going to be beneficial or help me at this point.
So yeah, you didn't.
I didn't reach out for help.
Now, at this point, did anyone mention to you that Chris's car had been found?
They might have said, at this point, they might have said it was found, but they didn't tell me where.
I can tell you where.
No, not at that point.
You obviously knew where it was, because
Right.
it went wrong and was put there, correct?
Right.
To your knowledge, the officers didn't question you about the carpool law or anything like that.
Not at that point.
Now, the next day, again, you move on
If we're
first.
moving on to the next day, let's take
Sure.
recess. Members of the jury, you are excused. Again, my cautions about what you can talk about and with whom. No investigations on your own, please. I know you're probably tired of telling you this, but I've got to make a record. All right, you're excused.
All right.
1 o'clock.